me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
All right, so let's get into it. So I want to go into, so this is lesson number 7. And we spent most of the show on lesson number 6 last week. This is lesson number 7, and we got 10 lessons. So we'll see how we do today. Who knows? We might finish up in an hour. Probably not. This one is real straightforward. And this is something that I would say if you know, I'm going to teach my daughter this straight up, right? And it goes for me as her father, and it goes for what she encounters with men in the future. And as her father, I mean, I'm the first man in her life, the first man that she loves. What's interesting about this lesson is that this lesson was given to me by a young lady who has a father. And she shared with me in confidence that because her father basically didn't, like, she shared this lesson, like, teach your daughter this lesson because I didn't know it. This is what set me up to be in relationships with men that weren't necessarily good for me. And how she laid it out was that her father taught her that this was okay. So when another man did it, she thought that meant love, only to find out it wasn't love. And as she got older, to realize that her father, let me give the lesson, and then I'll give you more context. Here's the lesson. Presents aren't equal to or greater than presents. Let me spell that. I don't want anybody to get it mixed up, okay? Presents, Presents, T-S, right? Presents, which means I give you a bag, right? I give you, some shoes that you really wanted. Presents aren't equal to or greater than presents. P-R-S-E-N-C-E. Presents. So my presents, like me being, now I'm going to say present, right? That's why I got to spell it. Present, me being present, is much more powerful than me giving my daughter presents. Let me tell you how this went down, you all. I got this, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I got this message. And when I read the message, I was like, whew. Because in the message, it was saying basically that I learned this the hard way. Because that's what I got from my dad. I got presents, right? And by the way, and any man with financial means already understands how easy this is to do. Like, if all I got to do is give you presents, you set. You set. Right? And I could mislead you and misguide you because every time I do something that you don't want me to do, or every time I do something out of integrity, or every time I'm not around, I could just show up with a present. Not that I'm present. I'm talking about a present, right? The English language, I tell you. But y'all get it. I could just show up with a present. And if you fall for that, you could find yourself surrounded by things that have no value and scarred. And literally scarred. This is another reason why I think it's important for us to really kind of put our materialism in check. Here's the thing I thought about with this, because in our society today, it's funny, I was scrolling through Instagram, which I really don't get an opportunity to do often. But I saw, I guess, Cardi B got a present from Glorilla. And so she's on Instagram saying, oh my goodness, nobody gets me anything like this but my man, and some earrings and a watch with diamonds or something. And here's where I think we get off, right? Because I'm looking at it like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. And it's sweet from two friends or, artists that know each other and care for each other. That it's sweet. It's endearing. And we're getting our messages. Our children are getting the messaging of what's important from these vehicles, from these mediums, Instagram, television. And what's being pushed on these mediums is materialism. And so it is very easy in the 21st century, 2022, 2023, for a young lady who's coming of age to get it twisted that if a man gives me a present, it means something. And I'm going to say that a present is good, but if it doesn't come with presents, beware. Might want to give it back. This leads back to lesson number 5, where we learn no one rides for free. No one rides for free. It's the only way I can share that lesson without going somewhere. But no one rides for free. So if you're getting presents out of nowhere, you ain't did nothing. You just and see, we live in this because we live in a materialistic what's the other word I'm looking for? External driven society. So what will happen is a lot of young ladies will think they deserve or that I earned this just because I'm pretty. Well, I am fine. So, he wanted to do a little something for me. No one rides for free. Nobody. Care how fine you think you are. You're not getting that present for free. It's a setup. It's a setup. That's all it is. It's a setup. Just waiting for the right moment to take you down. And because all those presents have been received, now you're not going to give me your present? That's really where it's going. Now you're not going to give me your present? And a lot of people will say, oh, no, I wouldn't do that. Okay. All right. Under pressure, it's like, well, I felt bad. He has been really nice to me. He's been sweet to me. He always takes care of me. And see, this is the thing that's missing. We live in a spiritual world. So we talked about that last week. And so mix that in with a persuasive, manipulative spirit, you might be up against more than you anticipated. No one rides for free. Presents aren't equal to or greater than presents. That's number 7. Here's something that came to mind for me. In Proverbs, King Solomon, wisest man of all time, he said, can a man take fire in his bosom and not be burned? Now, let me break that down. And I got to add this to the lessons to my daughter, right? Because I think a lot of times, most of the texts that we have today, they are more so, they're written from a patriarchal view, right? But let's look at this from a 21st century perspective. And let's say, can a man or a woman take fire into their bosom and not be burned? All right, here's what I mean by that. I'm going to put myself on blast. I shared it before. There was a time where I did prey on women who didn't know any better. I didn't necessarily know that's what I was doing. I was just reacting, and a lot of it had to do with my own nature as a man, right? You want something, how do I get it for as little cost as possible? And because I had an understanding of the scripture, even as a young child, because I grew up in church, I actually told myself that if she continues to let me come around, because, she'd be like, no, not right now. No, not right now. But when I tell you things will get heated, it will get heated, if you understand what I mean. So let's go back to the scripture. Can a man or a woman take fire into their bosom and not be burned? Here, I got to put this lesson in. So this has got to be lesson number 8. We're going to have 11. Because one of the things I had to teach my daughter is you cannot, and this is not even about teasing a man, because you could say right up front, look, ain't nothing happening. But a man that understands our humanity better than you understand your humanity will persevere, because he knows that you cannot take fire in your bosom without eventually getting burned. You will break down. Even the strongest, you keep playing, you will break down. Even the strongest. So you can't play. Like, if you're like, that's not what I'm up to, that's not what I'm doing, then you shouldn't be doing any of it. Period. Because it's only a matter of time. Now, somebody tell me if I'm lying. I know somebody right now thinking, oh man, is that what happened to me? Yeah, that's what happened to you. You thought you weren't going to. You told yourself you weren't going to. But then it got heated and something else took over. And what took over is your human nature. Your human nature, the same thing that gives you the urge to eat. My wife and I, we were talking last night, and my son asked a crazy question. He was like, do people eat penguins? That's what I love about children, right? Because it's like, you wouldn't even think about, do people eat penguins? So now we got to Google it so we had dinner. We were sitting around the table, and we're having dinner. He's like, do people eat penguins? And so my wife was like, well, let's see. Linnell, what do you think? And so I'm like, I don't think people eat penguins. She's like, Legend, what do you think? He's like, I think people do eat penguins. She's like, all right, we're going to see who's right. So she gets on Google. She reads it up. She pulls it up. And we found out that there are some people who have eaten penguins. Now, interestingly enough, most of them live in Antarctica. Right? Now, why does that matter? Somebody would say, I would never eat a penguin. Well, you don't necessarily know that. We put you in the right circumstance and situation. Like if you're in Antarctica, there is nothing else to eat. I'm going somewhere with this. There's nothing else to eat. Your human nature will have you sit down in front of a plate that you otherwise would not sit down in front of and eat it, and not just eat it, but enjoy it. That's how human nature, because the human nature says, I need to be fed. I need to eat. And so you're gonna eat. All right, so why did I use that example? Your sexual urges are part of your human nature. And so I have to teach my daughter, again, I go back to the scripture, right? Can a man or woman take fire into their bosom and not be burned? Hey, baby girl, don't play games. Because eventually your human nature will beat you. And then combine that with someone who's much smoother and persuasive and gentle, right? And you toast. You burnt toast. Lesson number 8. Hey, this thing with music, the more we begin to understand the power of the subconscious mind, Like, if you really, I think one of the reasons why he was talking about the music and in the music, the materialism. Most of the time, when I'm in the car, I ride in silence. Like, I'm at a point now, I just ride in silence. I find my thoughts and the voice of the Creator to be more entertaining and more important than the latest hit. But not just that. It's also because the latest hit has a message. And if I'm not astute enough to decipher the message, I'm allowing things to get into my spirit, into my subconscious mind that I have to contend with later. I shared this years ago on the show when I got engaged. This is back 2013, 2014 shows. And I got engaged. And back then I used to do a lot of running. And so I would run to music. I had my workout list. And so I got engaged. And I had made Pam the promise. I given her, I'm going to marry you. So I made the promise and set the intention for monogamy for the rest of my life. That's what engagement is. So that's on my mind. That's present. Okay, I'm getting engaged. I'm engaged. I'm getting married. We're planning the wedding. We're taking the next steps. And one day I'm running, and Lil Wayne comes on. And Lil Wayne is talking about just what Nate was talking about. Menage a trois, how many women he knocked down. And it was so visceral to me because my spirit wasn't there. Like, I was mentally lined up. And again, I keep going to this, like, we got to talk about, so there was a big debate in the Christian world, let's say black gospel Christian world. I think was it Shirley Caesar that created the debate, where she came out and said Christians shouldn't be listening to secular music. And then you had a lot of Christian artists, DJs, ministers trying to decipher whether this is true. And Shirley came out and said, if you saved, you shouldn't be listening to secular music, right? And she old school. Thank God for the old school, right? Because she just she old school, she just dropped it. Now, she didn't explain it, though. She didn't explain it. And this is where, I'm a teacher. Well, let me teach you right quick. Now, can Shirley just take somebody's salvation? No. All right, so this is where we get in trouble because we have these absolutes and these rules. And it's kind of like, don't do this, do that. And it's kind of like, that doesn't work for human beings. We need to understand why. So if you want to understand what she was talking about, right, I'm going to say why she's guiding you that way, is because what Shirley understands is that most secular music is based on either one, sex, 2, materialism, 3, drugs and drug use, right? 4, sadness. Just listen to it. One of my favorite songs used to be Lenny Williams. Oh, hi, oh, hi. He's whining because he's sad. He's sad. You listen to that song, you can be in good spirits. Man, Lenny get done with you be sitting there like, oh, man. Oh, I don't feel so good. Because Lenny just got done whining about his sadness. Right? Many of our aunties and uncles used to listen to the blues. The blues were all about sadness and what wasn't right and what went wrong. You put that in your spirit and you expect things to go right. You expect to create powerfully. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? So because we live in a multidimensional realm, Earth is one part of that realm, the physical realm. But we have access to a multidimensional realm. This is where it becomes incredibly important for you to understand that what you listen to, what you allow, your inputs have a significant impact on you. And so if that's what you're listening to, here's another good example, right? Most of us, so I'm 46 years old. I grew up in what anybody in my age, Gen Xers, would call the real hip-hop era, right? Real hip-hop. And the reason we call it real hip-hop is because it was the first, not the first, but, the first. And they were talking about something, right? Now, most of what they were talking about was how difficult it was to be black in America. That's what they were talking about, right? Rakim, thinking of a master plan, all those kind of things, right? And so in many ways as a teenager, that's how I edify myself. Now, Rakim talked about some other things too. And so I was also eating off that, which is why I did certain things. Let's be real, okay? Let's be real. However, it wasn't to the level of what you hear today. When someone has a song where the chorus is the name of a drug, and they say it over and over and over and over again, y'all know what song I'm talking about. What makes you think that if somebody introduced that drug to you, that you won't take it? If this song has been in your psyche, in your subconscious, over and over and over again. And by the way, what's crazy to me is that you can play that on the radio. Like that, you can play that on the radio, so you can say, you can use the name of drugs on the radio. But there's certain other words you can't say. So how can you, if you don't think that there's a master plan to consume our young people, something's wrong. And they're consuming them with music. So Nate, thanks for putting that in my spirit, brother, because music is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Incredibly powerful. I talked some time ago. I did a show. I think it was the top 10 something of success. I can't remember exactly what it was. One of the things I talked about is how I would wake up in the morning and I set my mood with music, inspirational music, motivational music. And the music was very, very intentional music. And by the way, at this point in my life, none of that music has, because now I hear a song. Here's where I was going, though. Those of us who are older, when we listen to this new rap, that's what I call it, and it's not even real. I don't even know if they're rapping. Sometimes they're not even rhyming. I was like, I could have been if the standards for an artist are where they are now, like, maybe I could have did that, right? It ain't that hard. I mumble a little bit. Huh? I got a tight beat up behind that. Whole song could be huh, and people just in the club. It's crazy. And here's the thing: we can laugh at that, but there's a spirit that goes with it. The mumble rap, there's a spirit that goes with it. And that's the thing, right? So then our children, that spirit, they can't articulate themselves. They can't. That's why most of us listen to it and we like, that's horrible. Our spirit is vexed. We can feel the difference between what we grew up with and what they're listening to. And if we don't teach them, and I already know we in for it. Because as a child, like those things, that's what everybody else is doing, Daddy. That's what they listening to. And if I say no, it's still going to happen. I know what's going to happen because I couldn't listen to rap when I was growing up. But I still knew every word every word to LL Cool J's album. How? Because I would stay up at night on. Y'all remember when? No, y'all don't remember. Ide and Justin, they don't remember this. For those of you who listening who remember, y'all remember when rap was only played from 11 p.m. to midnight on GCI? It was only 1 hour. If you wanted to listen to rap, you had 1 hour. I would stay up and put my cassette in and record it and listen. And then I would take that cassette with me, play it in my Walkman, and that's how I got it, That's how I got it down. And, of course, I had to keep the tape and all that underneath the mattress. Can't let mama see it because, boy, my mama found that tape and played it. I'd be in a lot of trouble. Partly because she understood the impact of music. But with our children, you all, we can't just say no. We have to explain why. We must explain why. I said this to the preachers and teachers out there. We have to stop saying this is what you do and don't do. We have to explain why. People need to understand why. Here's what why does. What why does is it allows a different level of spiritual maturity. So now when I'm under fire, I can actually make wise decisions for myself. And if I choose to do something that I knew I wasn't supposed to do, the understanding that I have around what happened is completely different. I'm more likely to curve my mistakes when I understand why. Ooh, you know what? I was taught not to do this. I was taught it would go this way. And here I am. I'm witnessing it. I'm experiencing it. The likelihood for me to walk down that same path again drops significantly. Here's something I learned about offense. I learned this some time ago. If I'm offended with somebody, right? Offended meaning they said something and it triggered me. Like I'm upset by it. It's an indicator of my ignorance. And this is tough. But if I'm offended by something, Ide's in the studio with me. Maybe he, afterwards him and I, we have conversation. Let's say he says something. I'm like, I can't believe Ide said that to me. I'm offended. This happens in relationship a lot, right? Offense is more often than not, I would say 9 out of 10 times, caused by a lack of understanding. You don't have a full understanding. And so you're offended because you don't understand. And so if you're offended by something, it should trigger you to gain an understanding. A wise man will listen and increase his understanding. So now I'm going to ask questions. Ide, what did you mean by that? What happens is most of us, because we don't have emotional intelligence, the ability to actually harness the spirit. And because we get offended, right? Like, it's like, no, chill out. Ask questions. What did you mean? Because then by the time he finished explaining himself, it's likely I'm like, oh, now I'm no longer offended because I understand. Or I'm no longer offended. I might not agree, right? But instead I'm in disagreement versus offense, which is different. I share that because the brother Cliff shared his truth, and I know a lot of people listen to me, and they're probably like, whoa, I'm like, ask questions. We have to do the work to be spiritually in tune. That if I turn on something and it disagrees with my spirit, I turn it off. That's not going to edify. That's not going to help me. It's not going to help my children, But I believe real spiritual maturity comes with the ability to choose wisely. Spiritual immaturity is I'm told what to do. And the problem with spiritual immaturity is there will come a point in time where I have to decide. I can't go ask my pastor. I can't go ask my spiritual mother or whatever it is. I can't, like I'm confined. And if I'm spiritually mature, I'm liable to take a hit on the head because I didn't have them. And so I believe that we should be being taught to be spiritually mature where I can make these decisions by myself. All right. And one size doesn't fit all. Everybody's indifferent. Some people marry, some people not. Some people, like one size don't fit all. Let's go to number 9. All right. This is real easy, real quick. Never stay in an abusive relationship. If a man hits you once, he will hit you again. Never, ever stay in an abusive relationship. If a man hits you once, he will hit you again. And so that y'all know, Rain Maxine Bioko Harris, a man hit her, he gonna be in trouble. Because mama's going to be taught how to defend herself. Understand? Okay? So legends already, y'all watch me on Instagram and all that. You already know legend, karate, taekwondo. Soon as he gets a little older, jiu-jitsu. Rain, I'm probably going to put her right in jiu-jitsu, right? And part of the reason for that is most men take women to the ground immediately, right? It's like, I want her to be like, yeah, knock me down. Because you come down, like, in jiu-jitsu, what you do is, the whole idea is, I want to be on my back. I want to be on my back. So you a fool if you jump down to punch me, right? So if you knock me down, right, most fights go to the ground. If you knock me down and you see me just kind of stay there like this, if you come down to me, unless you know what I know, you in trouble. You're not getting up whole. You're not getting up whole. Something going to be broke, twisted, out of socket. Like, you're not getting up whole. And so that's what I want her to learn. Like, oh, he knock you down, just stay down, baby. Stay down. And if he come down to give you more, ooh, twist him up. Twist him up. Twist him up, then call your daddy so I can come twist him too. All right. And then you're done. Never going back to him. Number 8, simple. It's real clear, real simple. Now let me say this. There's a woman listening right now who is experiencing this. You're experiencing this. And first, prayers to you, and our thoughts are with you. There's a reason you're in that situation, and there's a way out. I've worked with many organizations that take in abused women who are victims of domestic violence. And what I would say to you is, as much resistance as you may feel to doing that, it's time for you to free yourself. It is time for you to free yourself. So do the work. I mean, now you have, in this case, salvation on your phone, where you can Google these homes and call these homes and call hotlines and reach out and get the support that you need. But there's nothing normal, nothing healthy about an abusive relationship. I don't care how you grew up. I don't care what you've seen. This is your time. Like, this is your time. Free yourself. Somebody might say, well, Linnell, I got babies. There are organizations that will take you and your babies and set you up, take good care of you, give you a place to live, help you get on your feet, put you through work programs where you have child care that helps you take care of those children during the day. Good, healthy organizations that you can trust that will give you the tools and the skills where you can be truly independent of that type of abuse. So I just want to say that because somebody could be listening right now who's going through that. And it could be like, oh, well, it's easy to say that, leave, or she got a daddy and she can call you. And I want you to know that there are programs out there for you, some of which I've supported in the past. And I'm trying to think of some of the names, but reach out. I mean, there are different ones in different parts of the city, all over the city. And no matter what city you're in, there's a program, okay? Woo, number 9. Put on y'all seatbelts. Sisters, see, because I've been coming at the brothers a little bit. Now I need you to listen. So, to the young lady on Facebook who asked the question, we didn't cover the question on the air. Over the break, we covered this question, okay? And so let me give you all some context. She was basically asking if you encounter, you're countering dating men and none of them stick around, is that you or is it the men? And I said it's you. Attorney Fenton, who's on Facebook, said it's you. And if you guys follow Fenton on Facebook, he says a lot about relationship. He said it's you. And the multitude of counsel, there's wisdom, sis. Right? It's you. And then what I said is get therapy. And the other thing I said, I'm giving a lowdown of this. You want to see the full explanation, you have to go to Facebook and watch the break. But the other thing that I said is that the other reason I've seen men quickly leave women is when a woman has chosen to withhold sex, right? When she's decided to be chaste and sexually pure. And the other thing I told her, and sisters, listen, is that when you go out and you're dating, you don't lead with that. You don't sit down, it's the first date, and it's like, tell me about yourself. Well, I'm a virgin and I don't have sex. Like, most men ain't coming back. I hate to say it. And the reason is he doesn't have anything to hold to. He don't know you. He don't know your gifts. He don't know your talents. He don't know anything about you other than my nature that's calling me and attracted me to you is not going to be satisfied. And so I'm done, right? Now, a few men out here might go, woo, this is a prize. But you'll be hard-pressed to find that. I'm just going to be straight, okay? Most men lead with their nature. That's how we're built, all right? And so because of that, it'll be difficult. So my advice to a woman like that is you're not being deceitful if you don't share. It shouldn't be about sex anyway. He wants to take you out on a date. He asked you out. You don't owe him your sexual history. You don't owe that to him. And so you go out and you are the interesting, amazing queen that you are. And if over time he begins to find out that that's not how you get down, he's learned enough about you to be like, this might be a little difficult, but I'm willing to endure it because you are amazing. You are amazing. I'm willing to endure it. Here's the other part to this. Sisters, listen. Sisters, listen. Lesson number 10. When you are blessed with a good man, two things you want to make sure that you're not doing. Don't curse your blessing, and notice complaining about your blessing. Let me say this again, because it'd be like, well, I don't do that. But I'm going to give you some examples. Especially black men. The level of a level of pressure that we're under. Most good black men are under-acknowledged. They're under-acknowledged in their homes. They're under-acknowledged in their families. Ain't nothing but pressure, pressure, pressure. Nothing but pressure, pressure, pressure. I need this. I need that. You didn't do this. Can you do that? Can you do this? And a good man stands in all of that and handles it. The last thing he needs is a curse. The last thing he needs is a complaint. So I did everything you asked, but now we're complaining about how it was done. So you might say, well, what do I do? What do I do? Consider that your complaint is offense. Gain an understanding. We just talked about this, right? Gain an understanding. Gain an understanding. Hey, babe, can you tell me why you did it that way? This goes into a lesson that I want to teach my daughter. One of the things the sister who asked the question was, she asked, well, how do you repel? Because Fenton came back when she asked the question. He says, you could be repelling man. You want to know what repels a man? Even if you're married to him, he don't want nothing to do with you. You know, he might be like, I'm good. You want to know why your man comes in the house, you know, does what he needs to do and then disappears into a quiet space? You're like, why you don't spend time with me? Well, you might want to look within. Because once a man is going through all these pressures in society, pressures at the job, all these different pressures, he comes into the house. He doesn't want to be cursed. What do I mean by don't curse your blessing? Here's what I mean. One, in how you talk. I'm going to give you one good example. The word damn. D-A-M-N. We're all grown. I'll give you an example of how you can curse a good man. He's eating his food, finishes his plate, he gets up, goes to use the bathroom, the plate is still on the table. You go, damn, you can't get your plate off the table? You just cursed your man. If you understand the impact of the word damn, again, we all grown. If you understand the impact of the word damn, to damn someone, what does it mean? To be condemned, right? What man wants to be condemned? An expression of anger, right? So now you're angry with me. The etymology of the word itself is condemnation and disapproval. So I receive condemnation in the workplace. I receive condemnation on the street. I go into the mall. I receive condemnation. What's condemnation there? Condemnation is I walk in and the person don't even want to help me. Right? I'm trying to get my wife a pair of earrings and they just, he can't afford this. So, that's condemnation, right? Like, and that's energy. So this energy is coming at me. And I'm kind of like, so then I go home. And you wonder why your man just get up and, I put the plate in the sink. And now he disappears like, whew, I just need a moment. Whew. Because I'm surrounded by it even in my home. I can't escape condemnation. And all I'm trying to do is be responsible, hold up my end of the bargain, and take care of me and mine. And I'm cursed for doing it. Don't curse your blessing. If you say that man is your blessing, show him. Well, Linnell, you don't understand. Sometimes I'll be tired. We got kids. It's like this is what it comes down to. Everything requires some level of sacrifice. If you believe that man is sacrificing for you and the family, then sometimes you got to sacrifice your righteousness and how you feel. I'm going to teach her this. See, because the last thing you want to do is get a good man and then lose him. especially if you're a black man. Don't curse your blessing and then notice complaining about your blessing, because sometimes I hear sisters do it. They be like, oh, I'm so blessed, my man's so good. And then, you hear him on the phone like, you're like, woo, she just told me she was blessed. But that brother, I wonder if he feels blessed right now. Goodness. Like, does he feel like he's a blessing to her? And I'm telling you something. Like, if you feel like you've been blessed with a good man, prop him up. And I'm not saying there's no accountability. Marriage comes with dual accountability. I'm not saying that. But it's all in the how. Let me give you an example. Let's shift the context, because somebody's struggling right now. They're like, okay, you can hear everything else I said, though, right? You can hear all that. Now it's difficult to hear me. Like, no, and this is what you got to notice, sis, right? If you can hear everything else I covered in these lessons, this is why I left it towards the end. If you can hear everything else in these lessons, like, I squeezed the brothers. Did I squeeze the brothers all day? Justin, did I squeeze the brothers? I've been squeezing the brothers, right? I've been giving away the game, right? For you. So if you don't think that this is for you, you're mistaken. This is for you too. This is for you too. Now let's go back to it. When you're blessed with a good man, proceed accordingly. Number one, don't curse your blessing. And remember, just the simple expression of, you can say it under your breath. Right? You just curse that man. That energy. Again, remember, you all, they talk about using foul language. The reason why I think Paul said it in the New Testament, he talked about the use of words, right? And the power of words. And the reason, and I'm using this text, right? Because y'all, man, folks be holy when they feel like it. When it's convenient. And this is the stuff that's breaking us down, right? Especially in our homes. These little darts will break down a marriage over time. Little darts. Little darts. And it can lead to something big. It's the small foxes that spoil the vine. Don't curse your blessing. Notice complaining about your blessing. Now, I'm not saying, if that man been telling you, let me say this to the brothers, right? Let's keep it even. If you made promises and she reminding you of your promises, I'm not talking about that. She ain't cursed you and she ain't complaining. She's reminding you. Okay, there's a difference. All right, so there I go squeezing the brothers again. All right, but I'm just saying. But to the sisters, language is powerful. Words are powerful. And this use of the word, has gotten out of control. Right? Because it's not the F word. It's like, we can slide it in there. But understanding these words have energy. So now if I'm doing things like that under my breath and, like I'm putting an energy into my home. And by the way, I said this was my blessing. What should you do with blessings? You uphold the blessing. You want to double down on the blessing. Now, here's the correlation. Because I'm not talking about the what, I'm talking about the how. Okay? I'm talking about the how. And this is what I'm going to teach my daughter. You get a good man, you can lose him, you can repel him, as Fenton said, right? You can repel him with this type of behavior. So one of the things I do in corporate America is I help organizations with culture. So I'll go in and I'll work with an executive team. And as I'm working with this executive team, will identify the culture that we want to create within that organization. The reason this is important is because culture drives engagement, employee engagement, right? Think of that word in terms of your marriage, like marital engagement. Okay? You want your spouse to be engaged. And a lot of us are creating disengagement, right? What is the culture of your home? Think about the same thing, right? Who sets the culture in the home? Y'all just tell me real quick. Who sets the culture in the home? Put it in Facebook. Who sets the culture in the home? The woman does, right? In most nuclear marriages, the woman sets the culture in the home, right? Men, we don't like, I'll fix stuff. You know what I mean? Oh, man, the spring is broke on the door, right? That's not setting the culture, though, all right? My wife sets the culture in our home, okay? And so this is a cultural lesson for the sisters, all right? You want to have a healthy culture in the home. This is what I teach the executives. Then we have to get down to understanding how things are going to be done, all right? So accountability is necessary in a corporate structure, right? You have to hold employees accountable. Otherwise, they'll go haywire. We know that. But it's how you hold them accountable that can either create engagement or disengagement. So I work with executives and leaders on this, right? And so we'll say, all right, so we want to have certain values. And I recommend that every home has this. You know, we have it, and I need to do better bringing it to the forefront in my home because we have values. We have a family creed. And it's time to, bring it back to the forefront. This is a good reminder for me. So these companies that have values, the idea of the value is we lead that way. Let me give you an example. So they might say, well, one of our values is diversity. Yeah, we've heard that, right? A lot of companies, come 2020, George Floyd, they introduced that value. One of our values is openness. Maybe another value is curiosity, right? So then when something happens, you utilize the values to address or hold that individual accountable. So this is how I'll train a leader to do that. I'll say, well, if curiosity is one of the values, then all you have to do is go to that employee and say, as you know, at ABC Corporation, curiosity is one of our values. And because of that, I like to ask you some questions, because I'm really curious about, and I want to exhibit this value in understanding why you did your work this way, right? Because the value actually opens the door to accountability. You all see this? You see this? This is if you want to learn how to hold a man accountable without being disrespectful or cursing him, this is how you do it. So this is his value. But see, it requires patience. This requires patience. You got to work with him. You got to have a conversation. You can't just lie. You got to harness your spirit. Okay? So you'll say, one of the things that we agreed on was this is how we were going to do things. So can you help me understand why you did X, Y, and Z? And then you listen, right? This is good coaching. Good coaches listen. You listen. Conversation might be over after that. You might, oh, okay, that helped me. Thank you. That helps me understand. Nothing else to say. Now, if you have a right-wrong context, what does that mean? This is a cognitive distortion that many human beings have. You have to be right, which means that you walk in righteousness, self-righteousness, which means you have to make the other person wrong. That means if you can't hear them, you'll make them wrong. You got to watch for that because that's also turning into a complaint now because the only way to make them wrong is you got to complain. When you're blessed with a good man, proceed accordingly. Don't curse your blessing. And notice complaining about your blessing. Notice complaining. My prayer is that my daughter matures into a woman, meets a great man, good man, great man, has a family, gives us grandchildren. Like that's talk about blessing. And the reason this has to be a lesson is because we all know that marriage is not the end, it's the beginning. And I never want to see her go through a divorce, especially with a good man. By the way, do you know that almost 80% of divorces in the black community are women leaving their man? Y'all know that? Matter of fact, I saw a video, Amanda Seals, the comedian. She put a video out not too long ago. And this is what she said, a sister. She said, ladies, prepare yourselves. A lot of good men are coming back on the market because their women left them. So, do your work, be ready, so you can get yourself a good man. She said, because you know what? Here's the good thing. See, she even knows how a good man that gets down. She's like, here's the thing about a good man. He's going to get out here, and he's going to test the waters, and he's going to realize that's not who he is. And so he's going to want to settle back down. In a year or so, he's going to be looking for a good woman. And this might be your chance, your second time around. Right? This might be your chance. Now, that's funny and all. That's funny, right? But woe to the woman that left. Woe to the woman that left. Whoo! And why did you leave? Why did you, can you even articulate, 2 years later, 3 years later, why you left? Did he cheat on you? No, but one of the things I heard is he wasn't a good communicator. Okay. I have yet to run into a brother that is a phenomenal communicator. Do you like men? Do you like men? What do you mean by that? Well, most men struggle in that back and forth communication. Okay? So he wasn't a good communicator. And you left him because he wasn't a good communicator? Yeah, I can't deal with that. You divorced your husband, the father of your children, because he wasn't a good communicator? And somebody, a couple of years from now, gonna scoop him up and say, well, child, sometimes he get frustrated. He don't talk, but, it's cool. I love him. I'm happy that woman left. And she can get right past that. But we better check ourselves. Whew. So anyway, I don't want my daughter to be in that. I don't even want her to be anywhere close to that foolishness. Like, baby girl, let me tell you. Find a good man. Don't curse that man. Bless that man. Bless him with your words. Bless him. Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you the story. True story. Now, this woman is a minister, right? So she built a little different. But I know her story. I'm going to tell her story. Somebody saying, where are they? Where are these men? Realize that you attract, hold on, let me say this, right? Sisters, if you are doing your work, your heart is right, take this this comes with love, okay? This comes with love. You're doing your work, You've done the therapy. You've done the coaching. Like, you should be exhausting. You should be exhausting your self-development. If you're doing that and holding yourself like a queen, he will come. You won't be, he going to show up at the gas station, right? You don't got to look for him. He going to find you. He going to be like, who's that sister pumping out gas? Then pull in here right quick. I hope I don't disturb her, right? Because that's the thing about the spirit. It emanates. It's going to send out signals. Good man going to find you. He going to find you, right? So just work on you. He going to find you. It ain't your job to find him. He'll find you. Work on you. He will find you. I promise you, he will find you. Work on you. Let me tell you about this minister. So she married, how her testimony goes, she married her husband, and how she says it, he was lazy. Now, I don't like a lazy man, right? But he was a good man. He didn't want to go nowhere. He didn't drink. He didn't smoke. He didn't do none of that. He just kind of lazy. He didn't really want to work hard, right? He didn't want to work hard. And she said, Lord, you gave me this man. You gave me this man. What do I do about this? Right? This is my husband. This is my husband, my man. Right? And by the way, like, this might be one of the areas I think fitness probably with me where it's like a lazy man, though. Like, you can complain about that. You lazy. Like, you lazy, bro. You lazy. Right? Like, somebody came to me and said, my husband lazy. He said I'm always complaining about him being lazy. You said don't complain. And he heard your show. And he's like, why you be complaining that I'm lazy? I'd be like, is he? Bro, are you lazy? Right? Because then if I find out you lazy, I'm like, that's why she complained and she gets a pass. She's like, her husband was lazy. Right? You know what she did? She didn't divorce him. She prayed for him. I want y'all to hear this. See, the problem is we're trying to do too much with our own power. Well, you going to shake this man and make him do what you want him to do? Ain't no man. A real man ain't built like that. You ain't about to shake. Anyway, she said she prayed for him. She said when he would be asleep, she grabbed his feet. Say, Lord, from the heel of his feet to the crown of his head, make this a working man. Set him up in a way that he gives to this family. He takes care of this family. That he provides for us in ways I don't have to do a thing. She just kept praying a prayer. That man transformed. And when I say he transformed, like, they riding nice, living nice. He's a soul breadwinner. When I say riding nice, like $100,000 vehicles. When I say living nice, like, multiple bedrooms, every child. They have children. You know what I mean? Like, me and Pam got 2. We have 2 children. They have children. Right? They got children. All of them got their own room, though. Right? Because he put them in a house that's big. You follow? You follow? Like, this is what I mean right here. Like, you got a good man, but he's got a flaw. Like, maybe you can pray for him. So we forget about that. Like, you want to complain, curse. Pray for him. You know what, Lord? Give my man more compassion. Give him a work ethic. She prayed for him while he was asleep. My mama told me years ago, Linnell, be careful kind of woman you lay down with, because they have a tremendous amount of power over you. Because when you sleep with the woman, she has access to your subconscious mind, right? Because you sleep. So she could be whispering stuff in your ear. You're going to buy me all the Birkin bags I want. Man, I wake up and don't even understand why he buying stuff, right? He don't even got the money. Y'all can laugh if you want to, right? But this is the power of like laying with somebody. Like you go into an unconscious state with a woman or a man. Like they can speak into your subconscious mind. You know what that minister did? She spoke into his subconscious mind, praying for him. Praying for him. You got complaints about your man, your husband, speak into his subconscious mind. Pray for him. Whisper in his ear what kind of man he's going to be. We call that declaring. But then here's the thing, declarations have to be followed with action, which means you have to act, you, not him, you have to act a particular way to create that. Somebody get it. One listener, sister, said very powerful. She get it. She get it. Hey. This right here, what I'm trying to share with you all will change everything. It will change everything. Here's the final lesson. Practice acknowledging and affirming your man. This is for the women. Now, this is the last lesson I'm gonna teach my daughter, right? So don't curse them. And notice when you're complaining, maybe there's an opportunity to ask questions, gain a deeper understanding. And then practice acknowledging and affirming him at least 2 times more than you share a complaint. Think about that. So if you're gonna complain, because let's be real, right? I've had complaints about my wife. I've complained about something. I don't think I complain much, though. My wife would tell you, she'd be like, I'll cook something. I don't think it's good. Put it in front of my husband. He'll eat it. Because I'm not going to complain about a meal. What I look like coming in, eating my wife's food, saying, how much salt do you put in this? I'm like, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you cooking for me. She's like, honey, I think it's a little too salty. Well, you know, it works, honey. Thank you. Thank you. Right? Thank you. Acknowledgement, affirmation. Thank you. You're a phenomenal cook. I appreciate you. Right? So, to my daughter, practice acknowledging and affirming your man at least 2 times more than you complain. If you complain, I gotta drop 2 acknowledgments. I gotta drop 2 affirmations. Lift them up. Remember that a good man is carrying the burden of protecting you, protecting your well-being, for making provisions for the family. So notice belittling that burden. I think sometimes we don't understand what's on a man's shoulders. You know, if everything in the Harris household falls apart, nobody's going to say, what did Pam do? What? Oh, Pam dropped the ball. Nobody is going to say Pam messed up. They're going to say, I can't believe Linnell let that happen. I can't believe Linnell dropped the ball. So you don't think that comes with a certain level of weight? Remember that a good man carries a burden of protection, well-being, and provision for his family. Notice belittling that burden. You don't know what I did today, right? It's kind of like, I didn't belittle him. Well, he's trying to share with you his reality. And as he shares this, honey, I'm tired. Well, don't you think I'm tired too? I didn't say you weren't. I didn't say you weren't tired. I was just saying my experience. Notice feeling entitled for him to carry that burden too. Let me end with that. Notice feeling entitled for him to carry that burden. It's a blessing that he carries that burden. You're not entitled to that. All you got to do is ask a woman who's dealing with a no good man. Ask her. Get some perspective.
Hey, my inspired peoples. Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.